Welcome back for part 2 of our interview with Nonie Darwish about the Egyptian Revolution. Nonie, welcome back to the program.
My pleasure.
So let's get into this for a minute, and we will get back to how you first came to America, because that's a fascinating story. But let's speed up a little bit right now to what's happening in Egypt, Nonie. Let me start with this question. Does it concern you?
Very much, but I am not surprised. I think this was coming, and I predicted it, and many people predicted it coming. It was just waiting for the spark, and when the spark happened, it naturally evolved.
Okay, Nonie, Mubarak is very unpopular. He is a dictator, correct? Mm-hmm. So the Egyptian people are upset with the dictatorship. But the danger is, just like happened with Khomeini and many revolutions, that the Islamists might hijack this revolution or are behind the revolution. What do you think? Is this an Islamist revolution, or is this a people's revolution that might get hijacked?
Well, I judge what kind of revolution it is from what the people believe in Egypt. And in a recent poll, 75% of Egyptians, when they were interviewed, they said they want to live under Sharia, Islamic law. What does that mean? That the 75% of Egyptians are vulnerable to be to vote for the Muslim Brotherhood.
And I think it's almost something like 80% or something I read the other day. More than 80% of Egyptians support the stoning of adulterers.
Exactly.
So the belief in Islam is very strong.
Actually, even higher proportion want to condemn apostates to death.
Right. So if this is the belief of the majority of people, because so many people they engage in wishful thinking, maybe there's a moderate Islam, etc., but the facts on the ground are, as you're saying, that the majority of Egyptian people have these beliefs.
Exactly.
So in some tragic way, there needs to be a dictator to hold these Islamic views and ideologies in check from coming to power. That's how it works, right?
Absolutely, because how can you reconcile the Sharia laws, which are brutal, with democracy? A lot of Muslims are not aware about many laws that prohibit, actually is against democracy.
So is Obama way out of his depth here? He doesn't seem to be very bright. He's reaching out to the Muslim Brotherhood. Is he out of his depth here? What do you think about what Obama's doing? Is this catastrophic? Because he gave the green light to the Muslim Brotherhood and said as long as they renounce violence. It's almost like saying, well, as long as the Nazis stop hating Jews, they can come into power.
I think Obama surrounded himself with a lot of Islamists. He was getting advice from the likes of Dalia Mujahid, who's his advisor on Islam, and she's in the White House, and she's a fellow Egyptian.
Yeah, she wrote his speech, I think.
Yeah, she wrote his speech, and I followed her even before Obama came to power, and I was always shocked as to how Muslim Brotherhood sympathizer she is. And I believe she is a Muslim.
I think this is crazy too. Why is it that Washington and the Obama administration, why don't they have advisors like you, or bring in people also from the Muslim world? Why do they bring in Islamists?
That's what I'm saying. He chose who to advise him.
Yeah.
I mean, there is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. There is a lot of people who are still Muslims who reject Sharia and who reject Islamism, but he didn't choose them to be his advisors.
Now, Nonie, would it be legitimate to say that the Muslim Brotherhood has penetrated the White House?
Absolutely. It penetrated our government.
And in some ways, it's revealing itself now in how the Obama administration has a very relaxed attitude, if that's even a word to use, towards the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, right?
Yeah, I was amazed when Obama yesterday said in an interview with Bill O'Reilly that only 20% of Egypt is Muslim Brotherhood. And maybe they are registered Muslim Brotherhood 20%, but the sympathizers are the majority. So he is not aware of how powerful they are, how organized they are.
Nonie, Why is Obama preaching to Mubarak to respect the rights of Egyptians, and yet he was silent and didn't say anything to Ahmadinejad when Iranian students were being killed and tortured on the streets and continue to be? Why the silence towards such an Islamo-fascist regime? And Obama says nothing, but with Egypt, he's got all this moralizing that he's doing.
You're right. I think Obama is an appeaser to the Islamists. He should know better that the Muslim Brotherhood is the inspiration behind Al-Qaeda. In my opinion, the Muslim Brotherhood is the foundation for Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda is just doing the dirty work for the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't think they are different in any way.
Nonie, okay. Is there hope in this situation? Mubarak's going to fall, right? Or is there a chance that he'll
He's
stay?
82, I mean, and he has cancer.
So it looks like that this revolution will succeed on some levels. There's going to be a post-Mubarak government that they're going to bring in the Muslim Brotherhood. I think that this is going to happen, right?
In my opinion, they're not going to come directly. Like you're not going to see a Khomeini figure in Egypt. You're not going to have this sheikh with the garb.
It'll be a stealth takeover.
Exactly. Right? I think the Muslim Brotherhood learned a lesson from Iran, and they know that everybody's eyes are on them. And I think they don't want to expose the Islamist groups in America and get Americans angry at them. Because if the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt gets their fangs and show their reality, we are going to start looking at CARE and all of the Muslim groups who are just representative
so
of
they
the
don't want
Muslim
to scare us too quickly. They're going to.
They don't want to scare us too quickly, and I think there is already a deal that they are making to bring somebody who represents them, but who wears a suit and tie, and who really is a Muslim Brotherhood. Let me tell you, in the 52 revolution, most of the military men who took over Egypt from the king, they were all Muslim Brotherhood. Gamal Abdel Nasser was Muslim Brotherhood. Anwar Sadat was Muslim Brotherhood. It was an honor for many people to be a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. So they put them in office, and then when they don't do what they are supposed to do to please the Muslim Brotherhood, then they turn against them and they try to assassinate them.
Right.
And they succeeded with Sadat.
Right. So, Nonie, also, at the risk of offending you by saying this, in terms of everything I've read, the Egyptian society seems very dysfunctional to me.
Very dysfunctional.
Right? So, first of all, a very large percentage of the women have had female genital mutilation perpetrated against them. And there's also this hatred of the Jews. Like, they've lost 2 wars to the Jews. They lost in 1967.
3.
Thank you. Well, right. And then in 1973. They keep losing these wars, but they rationalize that they won them, or that they didn't lose them. So is this still affecting the psychotic nature of that society in some way, that they've lost these 3 wars, but yet they can't accept that they lost to Jews?
Well, in Egypt, reality and what they believe is 2 different things. I mean, I lived it in the '67 war when I was a teenager in college. During the war, the '67 war, I really thought we won. We were told on the radio, we won, and we were happy that we won. And then suddenly we turned on the BBC, which was completely hard to hear, and we heard the opposite. So Egyptians have been dominated by propaganda for many decades. Actually, all of Islamic history.
And they're still in a state of denial, right?
All of Islamic history is just promoting to achieve their agenda. They have to promote hatred and total misinformation. And jihad and total misinformation must go hand in hand. I mean, you cannot have jihad without misinformation.
Thank you, Nonie. This is the end of part 2 with our discussion with Nonie Darwish. Join us for part 3 tomorrow evening when we discuss what a Muslim Brotherhood takeover means for Egypt and the world.